Without any further ado, I'm pumped because my great long-term client, we've been working together for over 2 years, Karen, welcome to the call.
Thank you, Jeff. It's great to see you. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's so cool. So Karen and I go way back. Like you said, we've been working together for over 2 years now. We started off in like kind of a group mentoring program. And then after that, she continued on and has been working with me one-on-one since. And so Karen, let's first off, I want to share a little bit about you because this is an important element in terms of your brand and what you do as a coach. So, because when Karen came to me, she's in a position in her life where you're retired, correct?
Correct.
So she's retired and she's like, Jeff, I'm retired and I'm an athlete. And as much as I want to do my coaching business, I don't want this to be like this full-time, full-on, like I love coaching and I'm passionate about it, but I want it to work into my schedule because as an athlete, I train a lot. And of course, me coming from the fitness industry is like, oh yeah, I train athletes, things like that. And then I learned more about what Karen meant by being an athlete and training a lot. And I realized I'm like, wow, she's no joke. So Karen, tell us a little bit about kind of what you do as an athlete. Because what would you categorize yourself as, a ultra marathoner, or like how do you categorize yourself as an athlete?
Oh, that's a good question. So I think I've been labeled as extreme. So
yeah.
I am an ultra athlete, and ultra means stepping beyond that marathon. And so I ran over 20 plus 100-mile runs and like 178 ultra distant, runs. But now I'm stepping beyond that because I would dabble with triathlons and Ironman distances, which is, just a 2.4 mile swim and a 112-mile bike and a marathon run. Well, now this is where the extreme sets in because I'm training for an Ultraman. And that involves a 10K swim with a 90-mile bike ride after that on the first day. Second day is 171 miles on the bike, and the third day's 52-mile run. So that's where I get the extreme.
The ultra piece.
Yeah.
So literally, because here's the thing. So when you train, even for a marathon, and now when we talk, okay, a marathon, like for the average person, oh my God, a marathon, right. But like, okay, 26 miles, whatever. All right, go run 4 times that. Like that's, I'm talking with Karen on the phone, like, oh, I'm doing my, my ultra marathon this weekend, doing 100 miles. And at mile 75, I started cramping or whatever. It's just like, so it's just another whole level. But the training that's involved for that, I mean, like talk about like on an average day, like what are you doing for training?
So I train daily. And so, but I mix it up too, because I believe in the cross training. So I do gym work. So right now, do you want me to focus on the 100-miler, or do you want me to kind of tell you what I'm doing right now for the Ultraman?
Right now for the Ultra, yeah.
Okay, so I swim 4 times a week. My swimming has gotten up to, 4.5 miles, which I did in the pool. And so on my weekly mileage, my weekly yardage on a swim weekly is probably above 15,000 yards. I run probably 45 to 50 miles a week, and I bike 200 to 300 miles a week. Okay. And so I break that up throughout the week, in different training sessions with intervals and tempo runs and tempo intervals on the bike and intervals in the pool, and to build up speed in that endurance. And then weekends are usually filled the same way, structure. That's what the Ultraman is going to be. So it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, bringing up the distances and bringing up the running and the biking. So yeah, they're pretty big weeks. And then, fitting in my business too it's been a good fun juggle.
Absolutely. So I'm trying to kind of set the stage because everyone, when they come to me as a mentor client, coaching client, everyone has different aspects in terms of what they want their business to be. And Karen was really specific in saying like, hey, I'm an athlete and I'm an ultra athlete. And, this requires every single day for me to train, sometimes multiple sessions or often multiple sessions. And it also takes hours for each session, so sometimes we'll have our call. It's 10:30 my time. Karen's out in California, 7:30 a.m. her time. And you just got out of the pool for the last, hour and a half or 2 hours, right? And then and after our call, she's going to do a little work and then she's going to go for, a 50-mile bike ride, which takes, at least a couple hours, probably more than that, depending on the average speeds and who she's training with. So it takes up quite a bit of time. So Karen, so people are coming, they're like, wow, this is fantastic stuff. Let's rewind back to when we started off, so we're in this group program. If you can think back that far in terms of kind of like where you were with your business, what were the things you were kind of challenged with, having a hard time figuring out? So kind of set the stage of where you began, over 2 years ago.
I began at bottom level. I didn't have a clue about anything. I didn't have a clue about the website. I didn't have a clue about credit cards. I didn't have a clue about how to get out there and kind of market myself. And so since then, I have a credit card system set up. I've done meetup groups. I've done speeches. So the blossoming of going from knowing nothing and then working with you on, giving me all the resources of what I can investigate and how it could fit into my business, and then learning how to balance, because I was so afraid of giving up all my training and didn't want a full-time business, and finding that going from that fear of stepping forward and finding a great balance, and then the support that you've always given me.
Yeah. And so let's talk about the balance a little bit. Cause like you said, you didn't want to have a full-time business, but you wanted to have something that, hey, I want to get some clients here and there. I want to have some extra income. I want to do this thing, coaching, that I love. Talk about what that's been. Cause it's been a journey for us, because not only has it been, you getting past some of your fears, right? And you're like, oh my God, what is it going to look like if I speak or do all these things? But talk about that balance for you and kind of the challenges we've had to work through.
So I wanted, even the idea of retiring, it's taking that idea of working for how many hundreds of years of a structured environment and going into the retired world, of having so much flexibility, and then needing my personality needs structure. And so I battled with that, and it was a great help trying to figure out it's okay to schedule my clients, in the afternoon, and then I can go train all day long, and finding that comfort of the balance of knowing that, you can set up a schedule and see how your training fits in, and then see how the clients fit in, or see how I'm going to do it in my meetup groups, and work around that. And it took me a while to get over that fear of stepping out, to where now I have a great structure of feeling comfortable of, hey, it's okay to do them at 4:00 in the morning. You can go ride 80 miles for the day and be back home by 2 and and take your clients. And so that was I think that the hardest part with me, from going from a structured work world to being flexible and being my own entrepreneur, and finding that it's okay to be flexible and still have structure and get it all done.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. So talk about, over the course of time, for you from a marketing perspective, where have the clients that you've gotten over the past couple of years, where have you found them mostly? Because I found one of the things for you that I really liked right from the very beginning. It was Karen's like, I got another client. I'm like, what are you doing? This before we even, we're just starting off. And it was how can we start to leverage what you're already doing so you can get exposure and get clients? So talk about kind of what you've done to utilize your training and your traveling with all the events that you do to get clients.
So that's a funny question, because I don't go market. I wasn't marketing myself at all. I just go talk. And usually where I found my clients is on the trails. I found clients doing Ironman. I find clients as I'm running out there in the nature, and just started talking to people. And then the next thing I know, I have a couple clients here and there. But I can't depend upon that. And so what I always wanted to do was go out there and speak, because there are so many people out there in the trails that I would meet that had these mental blocks, these limiting beliefs, these gremlins going on. And so now, through a lot of coaching and support, I've stepped out to do presentations. And so my focus group is athletes. So that expands, because all those people I'm not going to find on the trail. I mean, how many people are going to run 100 miles? And then
Right.
I'm not as fast as the fastest person, but I'm not as slow as the slowest person. So yeah, my exposure to people is just a very few of whoever's going to be at my pace, you know. So I was wanting to build, and then where I can tap into that is going to presentations and giving a presentation at the local running stores, or even so events that I may go to. And I haven't tapped into that quite yet, but actually I am, because when I go to Arizona, I am going to do a presentation there. Arizona is where the Ultraman is.
Yeah.
In a few weeks.
And again, you live in California.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think that's the biggest thing is that I want people to see is that, you know, so she lives in California, but it's like it's like definitely every month, if not a couple of times a month, you and your husband, you're traveling to another state to do another competition,
right.
to do another event. And I'm looking at this going like, oh my gosh, you're meeting with all these people. I'm sure there's some similar people you might see at different events, but there's, you know, the organizers, there's the athletes, you know, there's the ceremonies when they're done, the ceremonies when people are, you know, getting their registration, you know, there's the local shops where people are buying gear and shopping for things, and restaurants. So she's naturally getting out there on a regular basis. And so it's like, how can we leverage the time that she's already spending with all these things that she's doing, to use that as kind of that dual purpose of like, yeah, I'm going there, but you're naturally going to talk to people anyways. So how can we formulate that into your marketing plan? So I think that's been I know it was an eye opener, I think, for the both of us to figure out how can we start doing more of that. And you do such a natural job. So I always say like you're such a natural in terms of like how you communicate with people. So for someone who's out there that's like, I have a hard time talking to people. Like what's your approach? Like, what's your thought process when you're talking with someone, even when you're running or afterwards? Like, how do you broach the conversation, and how does it go from just, hey, we're running on a trail, you know, to like actually getting a client from that?
That's a good question. I want to bring in because for me, the fear was going out and presenting, right?
Yeah.
Going out and standing in front of people. I had that block of just going out and standing in front of people. I do much better if I'm just like hanging out in a group or whatever. But so we all have a fear that may hold us back from sharing who we are, what we do in life, you know, what we're about, our passions. And when I'm out there, it just naturally comes upon, because people talk, you know, we just explore. I get curious about people, and just have a natural conversation, because each of us has the power within ourselves to be the expression we want to communicate. And it's comfortable for me to do it out there when I'm just around people and chatting. So, you know, that may be uncomfortable for other people, but just find the confidence in yourself that you can just talk, just be yourself, just be who you are. And so that was my fear of standing up in front of people, having all the eyes on me and being the center of attention, and having to get past through that to where it just bring down that block, bring down that curtain, and just have fun, just have a good time.
Yeah. And so that process, which we just started doing some more events this year. So you had your first big event. What was it now? Maybe a month or so ago?
Yeah, it was the beginning of February. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about that process of, you know, like you said, the interaction with the people one-on-one and things like that was fine. But then to get you in front of people where all the eyes are on you, like that was a process that we had to work up to. So talk about kind of that process, and now that you've done it, what it's been like for you.
Right. So I think the key for me was just getting past of my own self-judgment, and just being out there with some friends and knowing that I wanted to say something, and finding the power in me to just go out there and do it and let go of that self-image that I might think of, well, do I look stupid up here? Or but the speech itself, I didn't know how it was going to go. And it ended up being a lot of fun because the story that I used just really clicked with people. And sometimes when we don't know, we sit within ourselves and we just, this is our story, but you don't know how many people out there can connect with, our own stories and how we can inspire them. And then I had a couple of scenarios through my speech of interacting, of bringing out a negative or positive energy. And I just couldn't believe the connection with the audience of how much involvement there was. And then it just made it like a social thing. And it just really, for me as a presenter, it made it more comfortable. But just to watch people, oh my God, they're taking notes from me.
Yeah.
Like I learned all of this from her. It's like, really? So getting past our doubts and getting past the that limiting belief, I don't know anything, we do have something to share in the world, and it's good to get out our stories and how can we impact them. So it ended up being just a lot of fun, a lot of humor, a lot of personalities, a lot of interaction with the group that showed up. And it was just really powerful. And that just created that next step of super confidence for me. I can go conquer this now.
I know. And it sounds so funny, but would you say, sorry?
Heck, if I can do 100 miles that has 48,000 feet of climbing, I should be able to conquer anything, right?
Right. But see, that's the thing. That's the thing that's amazing about it I'm glad we highlighted that process, because it doesn't matter like what you do. And, some people can look at what you do as an athlete and go like, holy crap, and that's a lot for 99.9% of the population, but at the end of the day, also, you can still come up to something like, let's say, a speaking engagement and be like, oh, what do I do? And just work your process up to it. But then you do it and now look where you are. Like, it's funny listening to you now because, rewind, even 2 or 3 months, the process leading up to it and the preparation we went through, of not only setting up the event and, for a while it's like, all right, so let's work through the approach and what's it look like? And you're like, yeah, I didn't quite talk to them yet, and to look to where you are now is now you've done what, couple events, 3 events, you've got another couple, I think, lined up, right?
Right.
And so now it's just like, and you broke through that barrier and now you're full on with it. It just, you're utilizing your concepts in a different way. And that's over the next year, 2 years, that's going to take the evolution with your business to a different level.
Right.
Absolutely. So as we start to wrap up, before I want to share a little bit about your business, what's been the biggest value for you in our work together, having that mentor coach from the group session to especially going to the one-on-one? Where's been the biggest value for you over the last couple of years?
Your patience, because there's been times I've done nothing. And so you keep pushing and you're gentle, but your expertise on the format and the technical and just helping me build the business, just your beyond knowledge, expertise, and then even struggling with what do I talk about? And you just kind of like, well, Karen, and you just are all out there. The energy behind you, it's like overwhelming of your own passion of what you gave me as your coach or, as your client and whatnot. It's just, there's so much that I've learned and stepping beyond that. You were so great on the technical side of it, like the credit card thing. I mean, I had no clue. I'm not an entrepreneur. I didn't know what to do about that stuff. And then the website and the meetup group, you said, well, just do it. And so that was when I had a different message in my niche. And so, but that was such a great experience. I knew actually where I wasn't wanting to go, and still I came back into focusing on, athletes and specializing in that field. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been awesome. And to have worked with you and to seeing your growth, you inspire me, like in so many ways, with who you are as a person. And that, it's not just as an athlete. It's the athlete, but it's the person that I know you have to be to do the things you do as an athlete. the discipline you have, the drive you have, because you're human. And you know what, there are plenty of mornings where you wake up and you don't want to get up at 4 a.m. to go for a 2-mile swim, in the freezing cold, water, and having to wear a wetsuit, and so your fingers and your face are falling off because it's so cold. Like, it's just, I've been there on different levels, obviously, and trained people on different levels as a trainer as well. But to see how you pull it all together, in a phase of your life where you're retired and you and your husband are so active in terms of not just being an athlete, but you want to better yourself as a business professional, and socially, it's amazing. You inspire me on so many different levels. So it's been awesome working with you, and I always look forward to where we go in the future as well.